Yes, okay, now keep your punch card. After your 6th protest, you get free markers. You can make your new sign. Okay, so keep those nearby. All right, so yes, my name is Stacy Nell, and I am in the running for the Kansas State Senate in District 9. It's half of Olathe. It goes all the way to DeSoto, the north half of Gardner, all the way to the county line. It's just a whole lot of that way. So if you live that way, look me up. Maybe you're in my district. I'd like to talk to you. Okay, so I remember my first protest. It was January 2017. It was the Women's March. We went out to Topeka. Yeah. And it was glorious. Right? I realized that that was my turn to jump into the flow of history. To just have my speech, in fact, because I realized I thought I had missed it. I was born a slave like my great-grandfather, Isaac Franklin Bradley Sr., who, after emancipation, did make his way up to KU and became the first black man to graduate from KU's School of Law. I should make that. His son, and he was a member of the Niagara movement, the charter movement, that forerunner of the NAACP. His son, I.F. Bradley Jr., also became a lawyer and a judge in KCK. And my mother will say that it skipped a generation, but if you ever met my mother, you would know she's a fantastic person in her own right. She's here. Find her. But I always thought maybe I was born too late, like I had missed the fight somehow. Like God was like, this one needs a super target nearby, right? Like, she's not quite strong enough until 2016 happened and I realized it was my turn to step into the flow of history. So I went to a lot of marches. I marched for women's rights. I marched for science. I marched for gun control. I marched for a whole lot of things that I didn't think we were going to have to march for. But we're here today to talk about a very specific thing, and that is the Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, we're here to address the unjust treatment of black people in this country, and I'm glad that this conversation is happening. I'm glad that I'm here to take my place in history, to stand up on the right side of history and say that some things need to change. So what can we do, right? We can write letters, we can protest. Showing up is important. The fact that everyone is showing up today is a fantastic thing. I went to a march a few weeks ago in Gardner, Kansas, and there were like 150 people there. I was like, come on, Gardner, Kansas. And they were all shouting Black Lives Matter. I was like, let's go, Gardner, Kansas. All right, it's showing up in a big way. But I realized that if this is the song we're going to sing, there's a second verse to it, and that verse is to vote, okay? A lot of talk about systemic this and systemic that. But the only way that we are going to change the system is if we change the system, okay? I am here right now, literally on this stage, because I have chosen a very specific form of activism, and that's running for office, the Kansas State Senate, to be exact. And if we really want to have a lasting and meaningful impact on how this system operates, we need to change the people who are a part of that system. Yes. So here's my question. Do you know who your state legislature, who they are? Do you know who your representative is? Do you know who your senator is? Look these people up, okay? Find out who they are. Find out what they stand for. Find out how they voted. Find out where their money comes from. Do a little bit of research and then get involved, all right? Yes, we need to have criminal justice reform, and that's sorely needed, but there's a lot to the system. For example, in the Kansas legislature in the past year, there was the Crown Act. The Crown Act would seek to add protections to natural hair in the anti-discrimination laws in our state. It got stalled in committee, okay? So but it got stalled in committee. There's been legislation that looks at everything from how suspended driver's licenses are handled, to the regulation of payday lending institutions, to things like bail bonds. When we talk about the system, there's a lot in the system, okay? And the thing is, I'll let you in on a little secret. A lot of those issues never make it to a vote. The Crown Act didn't pass. It sounds great. It died in committee, right? And the reason is that the people in the rooms that make those decisions don't have the political will to deal with them, all right? So yes, everyone showed up here, that's fantastic. But you need to show up in November because you need to change the people who are in office. So here's my challenge. Every good stump speech has an ask. So here's my ask. I have two of them. One is that you need to get registered to vote. If you're registered to vote, fantastic. Make sure, if you're in Kansas, you should have got a mail-in ballot, all right? So we're going to try to avoid the mess that happened in Wisconsin and Georgia. Atlanta, yes, you can mail in your ballot, you can walk that ballot in, but please vote. I don't want to vote. The Electoral College doesn't pay. Okay, fine. But if you don't vote, then Sharice doesn't get elected.
That's right.
Then I don't get elected.
That's right.
Susan Ruiz doesn't get elected, right? Okay? So, give a wave. She's running for Kansas House. Simply put, we have got to show up. And they know if we show up, they're in trouble. So we have to show up. That's my first challenge. One is to vote. You're all going to vote, right? Promise me? Yeah. Thank you. All right, quite frankly, too many people died for my road to vote. I'm going to vote and everything. Dog catcher, I'm voting. All right, here's my second challenge. In a crowd this size, I'm sure there are at least a few people who do know who your elected officials are, and you've looked at them and thought, oh, I could do better than that. Oh, come on. Really? All right, so here's my second challenge. Run for office. I don't care if you run for city council. I don't care if you run for the PTA secretary in your kid's school, but get involved and run for office because we need people to step up and take that chance. All right, my time's almost up. This is great. I love it. I'm going to end with one quote. There are rooms that we need to be in. I'll close with Shirley Chisholm's quote. If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Thank you.